welcome to the speech portion of the meeting. Today we have two speeches scheduled. Our first speaker will be Jeremy Teo, who will be delivering his first speech from the Conflict Communication Manual 1 Icebreaker. The objectives of this speech are: begin speaking before an audience, to discover skills you already have and skills that need more attention. The speech time will be between 4 and 6 minutes, so the timer will raise the green card at 4 minutes, the yellow card at 5, and the red card at 6. Please help me welcome Jeremy Teo, presenting his first speech, Jeremy English.
What's in a name? What's in a name? Fellow Toastmasters, you may know me as Jeremy, but you may not know my other monikers, such as Jeremy, or Jean-Mimon, or what my grandmother calls me, Jolomi. You see, every time I hear a new pronunciation of my name, it fills my heart with a certain kind of warmth, because I'm listening to words of a very familiar language, a language I call Jerem English. Jerem English, simply stated, is any Mangalized language that nevertheless comes out in a clear, albeit bizarre and awkward way. But Jerem English is much more than just a language to me. It's actually a powerful force which has shaped my life. As a child, I was a victim to Jerem English. As an adolescent, I grew and became a student of Jerem English. And as an adult, I am a teacher of Jerem English. So right now, I'd just like to share with you a brief history in the evolution of Jerem English and how it in turn has shaped my life. During the early years, during the infancy of Jerem English, you could say that was a very frustrating and confusing time for me, because my mother was from Hong Kong and she spoke with a Cantonese accent, and my father was from Dutch Indonesia and he went to a German school, so he spoke with a German accent. Followed by that, I had a babysitter, and she was Quebecois, and she spoke with a Quebecer accent. Followed by that, I had a first grade teacher, or I should say a first grade teacher, and she was from Scotland, and she had a Scottish accent. And then after that, I had a second grade teacher who was Irish, and she spoke with a wee bit of an Irish accent. And followed by that, I had a third grade teacher from Western Canada, and she spoke with a Western drawl. And that was combined with an additional problem of me being a big fan of Sesame Street and learning bad grammar from everyone's favorite Muppet, Cookie Monster, me love cookie. So by the time I was in my preteens, I had developed this kind of a complex. I was very, very shy and withdrawn and very self-conscious about speaking aloud. It wasn't until my teenage years where I started developing a degree of control over Jerem English. The first step was the fact that my school sent me to see a speech therapist. That's because they discovered I had a lisp, and so every day we practiced and pronounced the letter S. Only after being able to say, "Sally sells seashells by the seashore," was I allowed to graduate from speech therapy. And it was about that time that another phenomenon appeared which helped me with Jerem English, and that was the fact that I started doing better in English class. I think this was because my English teacher could not really distinguish the difference between Jerem English and poetry. And about this time also, I started studying Shakespeare, and I learned a lot from him. I think I actually was able to decrypt a lot of Elizabethan because of oft words transposed. The fact that Jerem English was also very free-flowing and could flow backwards and forwards, which way and other way. So Shakespeare, I believe, would have been a firm believer and somebody who approved of Jerem English. One of the reasons I believe this is because of my favorite Shakespearean quote, which is, "What is in a name? Is it a rose by any other name, not a rose?" By the time I finished high school, I was actually quite comfortable and competent in expressing myself, and I thought Jerem English is something of my past. It was a closed chapter, done and finished with. It was not until I re-entered university as an adult that I realized my TAs and my professors also spoke Jerem English. I remember my compiler professor opening up the famous Dragon book and asking the class, "What is a fun arg?" And we were all scratching our heads. I sheepishly raised my hand and said, "Is it a function argument?" And he said, "Function, argument, together, they're funarg." And he had an epiphany that day. And something actually struck me as well. That although German English was a burden of my past, it now was a way for me to relate to other people. It actually helped me. I took that lesson to heart, and after finishing university, I started helping with volunteering services and ESL programs. And so I was teaching English, or that's what they thought, but really, I was just sharing German English. So in conclusion, looking back at my life, German English has actually impacted me in 3 major ways. Firstly, German English taught me perseverance. That is, to keep trying whenever I'm misunderstood. Secondly, German English taught me how to have a sense of humor about myself. All the times I've been in awkward situations and people have laughed at me, I could just shrug it off because of German English. And most importantly, finally, German English taught me compassion for all of us who've been in a situation where we don't have the exact right words, we don't have the exact right names, but nevertheless, we try and we dare to communicate, even if it's in an awkward form, such as German English.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Very well done. This time I'd like to give the evaluators some time, about a minute, before I introduce the next speaker.